What's up, A-Souls? Welcome back to my Harvest of Sorrows, a card reveal review. I don't know why I'm talking like this. This time it's going to be Skellige. Now, as you can see, the format is different for this one because the images that I used for the previous 3 videos with all 4 cards on the same image, those are the images posted by Gwent themselves on Twitter. And even though we've seen 1.5 factions after Skellige was done, they still haven't made the Skellige one, apparently. So I'm just using the card arts as they were presented. The other 3 will fill out the screen properly, but this one was cropped for some reason, and I didn't bother finding an uncropped one. So, frick you. This is FUCUSYA? FUCUSYA? FUCUSYA. I don't know. Melusine's Mother, a 5/13 legendary beast. Play a Skellige unit from your graveyard with a provision cost of 10 or less and give it Doomed. Spawn Rain on the opposite row with a duration equal to unused provisions. This card is nuts. This card is absolutely nuts. The only thing about this card that is even remotely maybe not super crazy busted is the fact that it costs 13. As I mentioned in the last video, almost every faction is getting a 13 provision card, and 13 provisions, like anything above 12, I feel like that is where you really have to make some decisions in your deck building to actually fit it in. Especially with everyone wanting to play a Neuromancy. Trying to fit in another 13 is going to be hard. But I mean, this one is insane. Like just rezzing a 10 provision unit and getting a 5-point body for 13 provisions. I mean, do the math. That's decent value. And for every provision less than 10, you can get up to 2 points because of the rain. It's nuts. It's nuts. And, you know, in contrast to the Brute that Syndicate are getting, which is very, very directed at, you know, this single archetype, you know, bounty, all in bounty, to maximize the profit. This goes in any Skellige deck. And honestly, you know, I thought about it. I feel like, you know, besides maybe the discard package, I don't really feel like Skellige has that many cards that go into a lot of decks. And I may be wrong. Maybe I'm just biased because I love Skellige and I want them to be perfect, so maybe I'm just ignoring some very obvious auto-include cards. But like beyond the discard package, maybe the location, like even Small Blood Totem, which used to be in like every deck, I feel has kind of fallen off a little bit. And because of the 13 provisions, this won't be in every deck, but like it can fit any archetype, which I think is fine. When it's a card this expensive, and like the effect is just, you know, playing a unit from your graveyard. So like you can play this in Pirates. You can bring back Kraken Crate. You can bring back Holger Blackhand. That's not bad. You can play it in Druids. Bring back, I mean, you can bring back Melusine, obviously, but you can bring back a Bride of the Sea, who then brings back an Alchemy. You know, you play Bride of the Sea with this, you do get 2 turns of Rain, which should appear on the board before she chooses her Alchemy, so, you know, you'll have at least 2 turns of Rain, which lets you play an Alchemy of provision 6 or less, which is very good. You can play this in really anything. And just the... Like, it doesn't matter if you're getting a 10 provision gold or a 4 provision bronze. As long as you're able to get decent value off of most of the rain that you're spawning from rezzing a smaller unit, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, it could be worth more points to get a cheaper unit because of all the rain. Like, this card is strong. It's very strong. It's a beast. So maybe beast decks, you know. Woo, 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 woo. You know, when you think about an effect like this, right? And you think about, okay, which tag should this effect be on? I think if this had been on a warrior somehow, I think people would have gotten pissed. It could have been on a druid. It could have been on a pirate. But I feel like, you know, beast, it's fitting. I think it's fitting. And she's like a sea witch, so like flavor-wise, no matter what you're playing, it's like kind of cool. It's like, oh, we had this magical sea witch who was bringing our dudes back from the dead. Woo! Imagine if it were a pirate. Imagine if you were playing like Queensguard, and then a pirate came along and brought your Queensguard back from the dead. Like, okay, what the hell are you doing? Go back to your ship, you dumbass. But this magical sea witch, if she comes and brings back the Queensguard, you say, "Thank you, milady, for bringing back milady." So I mean, this is just it's really strong. Is it overpowered? I really don't think so. I really don't think so. I think it's just a really good card for the whole faction. Which, you know, as a person who prefers that faction over any other, I'm very happy to see. And it does have synergy with another card we'll be talking about today. Actually, technically two of them. I mean, she reses a unit. She has synergy with everything she can res, okay? Let's leave it at that. Next card. Little HAUFRUE. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, we've seen this word before, HAUFRUE. HAUFRUE. I mean, how do I even say it? Like, I know how to say it. But how do I say it to you? Because for those who don't know, in Norwegian, and probably maybe Danish and or Swedish, because they're very similar. I think at least Danish would at least write it the same way. This word, HAUFRUE, it means mermaid. So this card is literally called Little Mermaid. And it's such a good card. It's so good. Like, there were some things that I wanted from this set. And one of the things was, I want a bronze unit, or really any unit, but preferably a bronze, that, you know, is worth a decent amount of points, so it's actually worth playing, but it damages itself. But I wanted something that could do that early. Obviously, we're thinking about like HAUFRUE Singer and heal decks. I really want to make like a heal deck where you have units that damage themselves and you can heal them up and just get a bunch of value. So I felt like Spear Maiden is just not powerful enough. Bear Witcher, you can only play, you know, late in the round. I wanted something you could do right away. And here it is. 6 for 4 Beast. Deploy with Bonded. Increase this card's base power by 2. Order, damage self by 4, and spawn rain for 2 turns on an enemy row. Perfect. Perfect. Big self damage. A lot of points that you can heal up. Can play for a decent amount of points. With the Bonded, it plays for a very good amount of points. And because it increases base power, you can res it. You can resurrect it with Freya's Blessing. Or with FUCUSYA. You're probably not going to do that. But you could. And it's just good. This is a good card, and the art is magnificent as always with these Skellige cards. But, like, I feel like the card is actually good. Like, it's literally just Elder Bear, a 6/4 beast. But then with Bonded, it's an 8/4 beast, and then it has this order that plays into a bunch of synergies within the faction, and that's the kind of stuff that I love to see. This card makes me so happy in every possible way. I love it. I absolutely love it. And, you know, my dream is to, you know, get one of these and then play another one with 8 base power, and then later I play another one and then I resurrect the 8 base power one and set it to 10. What? It's so good. Like, I know it's a 4 provision card, and it's probably very balanced for its cost, so it's not a spectacular card, but I love everything going on here. It's so beautiful. The beast tag, the stats, the bonded, the order, the self damage, the rain, the Norwegian in the name. This couldn't be a more perfect card. I just so good. It feels good to be a Skellige. Moving on. Messenger of the Sea. A 4/6 beast. Whenever rain or storm damages enemy units, boost self by the damage dealt. They're back. Old greatswords. Greatswords before they were 10 base power, damaged themselves by 6, and only healed when enemy units were damaged. But instead they were 4/6 engines that boosted whenever enemy units were damaged. They're back. Obviously, they only care about specific damage from rain or storm. And let's not forget, the game has power crept quite a bit since greatswords had to be reworked. So, like, this effect overall is not as obscene as it was back then. And also, again, the limitations, right? Like, you can't combine this with pings. It's just rain, it's storm. It's still very powerful. It's still very strong. And you can have so many ways to set this up so it immediately boosts to 6. Which means it requires some legit control. I think it's very strong. But rain decks, storm decks, I think they need a strong payoff for the things that they're doing. Because right now, you know, you're playing the rain. You're transforming the rain into the storm, right? You're doing your thing. It's pretty good. You're living the good life. But your cards overall are not worth all that many points. It's just decent. But now we have this. It comes in. It's worth way too many points. And it's just fun. Will this get nerfed? I don't know. Because much like a lot of the bounty cards that I talked about in my last video, obviously if rain decks still aren't really that great, this card just won't register on the radar as being powerful. If they end up being great, you know, this card may play a huge role in that, and maybe it's like, maybe we should tone it down just a little bit. Messenger of the Sea. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like, obviously, if you have rain on both enemy rows, and you play this, it can go to 8 immediately, which is kind of insane. But that setup requires a bit more, you know? But I do feel like the fact that it goes to 6, even with just 1 turn of rain, I think maybe that is just a bit too good. I mean, I know it's a card that just boosts itself really tall, and there are so many counters to that. But I feel like a 6 provision bronze engine, I feel like it should, you should more consistently be able to kill it with 5 provision dedicated removal, right? So maybe if this was 3 base power, and then with 1 turn of rain, it went to 5, it could still be killed by most 5 provision removal. I feel like that should work. I really do. And then, you know, the payoff for successfully having rain on both enemy rows would be that it went to 7. And problem solved. But that's just me. You know, I have my opinions on these things. But we'll have to see. You know, maybe it's perfectly fine. Maybe it's underpowered. I doubt it. But it's fine. It's a cool card. I like it. Last up, RIOGHAN. RIOGHAN? The Undying. Human Pirate Cultist Cursed. 8 for 8. This card starts in your graveyard. When played or summoned from your graveyard, trigger all remaining rain and storm on the opponent's side of the battlefield. Let's just talk about the first line of text, shall we? This card starts in your graveyard. It's free thinning. Your deck starts at 24 cards. I mean, that alone is really interesting. It's really cool. You know, everybody's talking about, oh, I'm gonna play Squirrel. I'm gonna play Xavier Lemons, boy. Skellige's gonna be fucked. I don't care if you banish this. I still thinned my deck. It was still worth it. And if they don't banish it, it's got a pretty cool effect. You know, you play a bunch of rain. Maybe you go a bit too far. You know, it's possible. Sometimes you go too far, or you know, you get forced into a short round 3 and you have like Rage of the Sea leader charges left and maybe a Fulmar and stuff like that. You have a bit too much rain. But maybe you have, you know, a FUCUSYA or a Sigriffus Right. You bring back this beautiful man here and you get some value. Why not? I don't think this card is like insanely powerful or anything. Because like you're just rezzing an 8 for 8 that lets you just get value from stuff that should have just gotten its own value, right? Like it's not like Rain is like so overtuned, and it's not like you're usually spawning such an excess amount of Rain. Like if you have Rain, like several turns of Rain or Storm on the opponent's side, that is not really, that you don't have enough turns left to get full value from, usually you lost value from that. There are some cases where you don't, like if you use Melusine's Order, where she damages herself by 2 to put 2 turns of Rain on the opposite row, or an enemy row. Like if you lose value from half of that Rain, then you just, you know, you're just at 0. If you lose value from more than half of that Rain, then of course you're losing value. And then it's like, okay, you can bring back this guy, an 8 for 8 that claims back the lost value. Like really, you're not. I feel like most of the time, like this guy will just bail you out from some tough situations, and that's great. That's a good effect to have. It's a really handy effect to have. And you know, he just starts in your graveyard, so like if you don't need him, okay, let him stay in the graveyard. But if you do need him, he's always there for you. If it gets banished, then you usually know about it pretty early. And you can be like, okay, I don't have my main man. I gotta be careful about how much rain I have access to. The card is great. It's a really interesting effect. Just by starting in your graveyard, you get that free thinning. You're always going to get some good value, right? It's just thinning your deck. I mean, like it's not quite comparable to something like Roach, which, you know, it costs 9. But you get 3 extra points of tempo. This doesn't give you an extra tempo. It's just a thinning. You know, for 8 provisions. You know, Knickers would do the same for 8 provisions. Except it would give you 3 points of tempo. Of course, Knickers and Roach can break your hand. Makes your mulligans clunkier. This guy does not do that. And he's devotion friendly. I don't really know how much you're going to care about that, but at least it's there. I think it's cool. And it's just one more interaction that I doubt will be very useful. But it's kind of interesting. If you play Hjalmar on Crate, like having this card in your deck, it enables your Hjalmar to deal 8 damage from turn 1. It's like he's always active. He's not a dead card in your hand in round 1. Like, I don't know how viable that's going to be. But just free thinning and automatic Hjalmar setup, it could be good. It could be worth it. I'm not sure. But that does it for the new Skellige cards. Overall, I am very happy. I'm very happy with what Skellige is getting. Some very cool designs with RIOGHAN. I have no idea how you say it. I have no idea. The Undying. Some very cool designs with Undying. Just the perfect card with the little HAUFRUE. Just a big top end card that works in like every Skellige archetype with FUCUSYA. And just a really good payoff for a rain-centric deck with the new Messenger of the Sea engine. Honestly, I'm really glad to see like a new 6 provision engine that's like worth it. Because that just makes Freya's Blessing that much cooler. Like just having a 6 provision bronze engine that is actually worth 6 provisions. And then you can res it for 5. That's nice. That is good. And it's also a very good operator target. It's a very good operator target. Because you can play it as a 4 for 6. Or you can play with operator essentially as a 5 for 7. So like stat wise, it actually matches up. And unless your opponent is also playing rain, they're going to get no value from theirs. You're going to get sick value from yours. And you're putting it and a unit on the opposite row, like on the opponent's side, which makes it easier for you to quickly get value from rain. It's something to think about. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on the new Skellige cards. I would love to hear yours, so do leave them down below in the comments. We have seen the monster cards, but I am not going to talk about those today. But it's coming. It is coming. So stay tuned for that. Until then, have a good one, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.